Hello and welcome to another edition of Las Vegas Pitch. I'm here with my friend from Las Vegas Pitch, Rick Hammel.
So happy to be here. This is
Win-win
awesome.
real estate.
Yep.
We are going to have a great discussion today. A ton of stuff we're going to cover. You've got so much wisdom, 25 years.
Thank you.
Can't wait to dive in. So I want to start with really someone buying their first home, because you work with a lot of first-time home buyers. You love that.
Yep.
You treat them well. What is the process that you go through with a first-time home buyer? Where do they start?
Well, I have a lot of home buyers that ask me, I've never bought a home before. What do I do? So basically, I just walk them through the entire process, getting pre-qualified, finding out how much home they can afford so they don't go out and look at a home that they fall in love with and then they can't buy. That just doesn't make, not good.
That's not fun.
Right, exactly. And then walk them through the entire process from finding the home, negotiating it out for them. Like I said, getting the pre-qualified, doing the inspection, getting the appraisal ordered and handled, all the repairs done, all that stuff. And then walk them through, because it's in Las Vegas, it typically takes about 30 days, start to finish. And we go through that, whether it's in person, on the phone, or Zoom call. That's kind of what I do.
Yeah, and what I see a lot of times, Rick, is the home buyers are a little bit fearful.
Yes.
A lot of first-time home buyers like, oh my gosh, what am I getting into? Am I making the right decision? Should I buy now? Should I wait? Should I pay this off? Should I pay that off? How do you calm them down? Because you're kind of a psychologist in a way to get them to a point where they feel comfortable buying.
I think just walking them through the process, helping them make the decision, putting them in touch with somebody as yourself, making sure, let's find out what you can afford, and then let's go out and start looking at properties.
Yeah.
And once they get out there and they start looking at the properties, then they really get excited. And that's the whole key, right? To get somebody excited, motivated, wow, I'm getting into my first property, and for consumers, it's the biggest purchase they're ever going to make. And so getting them excited about that is what makes my job so thrilling.
Yeah, it's fun, right? Yeah. And I think trying to eliminate some of the question marks and being educated and understand what they're getting into.
For sure.
But it's just essentially sometimes it's just diving in.
Yes.
And people try and they can figure it out,
oh, yeah,
right?
For sure.
You understand, I can't quite go do this anymore. I can't quite do this. But look what I have. I've got a house.
Right.
And so when you talk about affordability, what types of things are they asking you about?
Do I have to how much money do I have to put down? What does my credit score have to be? I have a lot of debt, or I don't have any credit at all.
Right.
I've had a few of those over the years. They don't have any credit. And so how do we fix those things so that they can be in a position to be able to buy?
So why don't you just ask me this question right here, and we'll be part of this podcast. So go ahead and ask me that question and I'll answer.
Oh.
No, the first one.
Oh, how much, how much home can you afford?
So we go through a process essentially where we look at what's called CIA, credit, income, assets. You need those three things to get a mortgage, and it's kind of like a three-legged stool. You need 3 legs to make a stool stand.
Right.
Sometimes one leg's a little bit off, right?
Okay.
So you got to make it. So that's what we do, Rick, in order to really evaluate what they can afford, is go through those 3 things, credit, income, assets, and determine what they can go out and buy.
Wonderful.
And then we give them back to you, and then you go show them the house.
And I, as an agent, I try not to get too involved in the finance aspect of it. I leave it to professionals like you to do that. And then I just want to make, okay, this is how much home you can afford. This is where we go.
Got it. So do we move on to the next one?
It's hidden.
So we talk about,
Just I'm sorry. So a lot of questions I get from people. Everybody listens to the news and media and whatever. I have to put 20% down, on a $300,000 house. A lot of people don't have that.
Yeah.
So what are their
options?
Yeah.
So no, they do not have to put 20% down. It's technically a myth. The average down payment is somewhere between 8 and 10%.
Okay.
But there's a 3.5% down FHA program. There's actually a 3% down conventional first-time homebuyer program, 5% down. VA is 0% down. Obviously, you have to qualify for that. But 20% down. not necessary for the
Yeah,
home buyers.
Yeah, and that's great. That's going to open up a lot of doors for a lot of buyers out there. So
For
that's
sure.
great.
For sure. So let's segue into the Las Vegas market a little bit, right?
Yeah.
So you've been here for 25 years, I
Yeah,
believe,
yeah, I've been doing
working
real
on the
estate.
real estate
Yeah.
side. You've seen the ups and the downs and the twists and the turns. Right now, where does inventory stand and how does that relate to kind of the history of inventory?
Well, right now we're at about 3,500 single-family homes available on the market, which is technically low for Vegas. But, back in the 2008, we had 20,000 homes on the market,
Right.
and so obviously it's adjusted. So there's still a low inventory of homes, which means less choices for people to go out and pick from. And so, we are seeing some multiple offers on properties because of that. And so it makes things kind of trickier, especially for the first home buyer who can't compete with some of these people coming in from other parts of the country and buying houses.
So do you think that with the elevated interest rates, do you think that has impacted some of the home buying? Do you think there's less buyers out there now than there would be if
Yes.
interest rates were lower?
It's interesting you say that because really I noticed that when interest rates go above 7.25 or 7.5, that the multiple offers that we see on properties seem to dissipate for a little, but the minute things come down, boom, then we're back at it again.
Yeah.
So it's kind of a interesting dichotomy that we have going on right now.
It's kind of that tipping point.
Yes.
When you get over 7.25, 7.5, there just seems to be a little bit of a pullback.
Yes.
And they just are like, gosh, I don't know if I can afford this. The other interesting thing, and I think honestly, Rick, when the rates go below 7% again, and we're actually not that far away right now, I think we're going to see another dash into the marketplace. Because it was actually when they dipped into the high fives, it was like, oh my gosh, madness.
Right.
Now it's sixes is kind of the norm.
Right.
And I think consumers are.
Yeah, and I think consumers are starting to really realize this is going to be here for a while. The 2%, 3% interest rates, we're not going to see those for a while again. And people need homes. They need places to live. And so, they get into a home, they realize, okay, maybe the interest rate's a little bit higher than what I'd like, but at some point I can refinance, and bring that interest rate down and bring the payment down to a more comfortable level. But let's get in the house.
That's the most important part,
Yes.
right? Get into the house. And if you can secure a price right now, do you believe home values in Las Vegas will continue to increase despite the high interest rates?
Yeah, I do definitely see that because of, when I first moved here, it was gaming and not so much mining, but gaming was the predominant economic area in Vegas. So now with all the sports teams that we have and, our economy is becoming much more diverse.
Way more,
Yeah. And so that's changed everything, and that's creating the uptick in appreciation, and home values just continue to rise. I mean, people have a lot of equity in their homes right now, and that's creating a lot more wealth for people that live in Las Vegas and, call it their home.
Yeah, one of the gold standards of the home appreciation is CoreLogic.
Yes.
And Las Vegas went up by 7% most recently, the most recent report, despite interest rates being at least 0.5% higher than they were last year. So, and the inventory is actually lower than it was last year. The only state in the nation with less inventory this year than last year.
No kidding.
Yeah.
Wow.
So it's interesting.
It is interesting.
How do you see California impacting the real estate values here? Are you still seeing a lot of first-time home buyers coming here from there?
And believe it or not, a lot of first-time home buyers, because they've been renting and their incomes were higher, and now their incomes from California are staying the same, but they're moving here and they're able to purchase things because of the remote economy that we have since the pandemic.
It's been kind of nice.
Right, yeah. And so I'm seeing a lot of cash buyer, first-time home buyers.
First-time
which
home
is
buyers
interesting,
cash.
coming
Why
here
not?
and paying cash for homes.
Yeah. That's fabulous.
Yeah.
That's fabulous. That's very hard.
Yes.
But that's really neat.
Right. And I think, and that has been more since interest rates have crept up. Because before it was like interest rates 2 or 3%. Well, I'm better off getting a mortgage because my money's going to do better in the market or whatever. But now that's changed.
Yeah.
So people are coming in and like,
Coming
well, I
cash.
don't want, I'd rather, because our appreciation is going up more than the 7%.
And I would
that we're seeing.
imagine kind of interesting, as we're talking about this, I'm thinking, because I talk to a lot of California
Sure.
buyers coming in, and I think because their incomes were a little bit more high, were higher in California,
Right.
they were also thinking about buying in California, so they figured they had to start saving money. That's
Right.
probably why they do have more money to put down
That's
on a
right.
property.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And even if they're not paying 100% cash, they're putting half down, or, if they're buying a $400,000 house, they'll only try to get a small loan. I mean, I'm dealing with somebody from California right now. He's retiring, just looking to buy small condo. We put an offer out. He's on a $250,000 condo. He's putting $200,000 down. He's trying to get a $50,000 loan. I'm like,
They're hard. Some lenders
those are
don't
hard
even
to
do.
do.
Yeah, some
Especially
lenders
from your
don't even do.
standpoint, it's like,
Yeah.
but
And the funny thing is, the closing costs on a $50,000 loan are not going to be all that different
no,
than a $300,000 loan.
exactly. I'm like,
So it's
keep your
pretty
money.
costly.
And I tried to tell them to do, but people
That's
people
okay.
want to do what they want to do.
It's all mindset. I call it the sleep factor.
Right.
What makes them sleep best at night, and sometimes just having a $50,000. It's like a car loan, right?
Exactly.
So
Right.
I want to segue also into, like, when you start with a client, what is the best location? How do you determine the location that they should buy in?
Well, first of all, I look at home values, and what they're pre-qualified for. I always direct them to do their own research, because as real estate agents, we can't really tell them exactly where to go. I encourage them before our first meeting, let me send you some properties, and I kind of all over the place. And I said, drive the areas, drive the neighborhoods, see what you like, see what feels comfortable for you. And then, and just take a day doing that, and then come back to me and then say, well, we like this, we didn't like this, this is good, this is not good.
Right.
And that helps me do a better job for them on honing in on the areas that work for them and that they'd like to live in.
Now, are most of the people that live here, do you think they have a pretty good idea of where they want to live? But the newcomers coming in from, relocation, they're like completely lost.
Yeah, the newcomers coming in are completely lost. Yes, absolutely. Yeah.
I was one of those about 6 years ago. And it's funny, as we're talking about this, I first moved to Henderson.
Okay.
And I'm thinking, I got to be close to the airport so I can get back to my other office. And then as we lived here, we discovered other places, and then we were kind of looking at the Southwest. And then this place where we're at right now, I had no idea this place even existed.
No kidding.
But it was just like you said, we got sent, a kind of a price range of what we were looking for. And we looked at the different areas that the homes were in, and we discovered this, and we love where it's at, central location.
Right.
But I think, like you said, you kind of live, find out what your living habits are.
Yeah.
And
And like, I'm dealing with a seller right now that I'm going to be meeting, I think, later this week. They're all the way near Lake Las Vegas. They've been here since 2022. They're not happy with, and it's a beautiful neighborhood.
Oh,
beautiful
Lake Las
custom
Vegas
home.
is gorgeous.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But they're just like, it's so far removed, or that's what their feeling is.
Yeah.
And so they're like, we want to get closer in, not maybe Henderson, maybe look in the Summerlin area or whatever.
Right.
Because he's a musician down on the Strip. So even Summerlin's not that far. Where he's at is
Right.
a little bit
It's pretty,
further.
even Lake Las Vegas isn't
Right.
that far from the Strip,
Yeah.
really.
Yeah, it's not.
Yeah.
It's just, but now that they're getting to know the area better,
Yeah.
they're wanting to just find a different location.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Well, I went here because I can go to North Las Vegas as easily as I can go to
Yes.
Henderson, South,
Right.
and then I can go to the Strip.
Yeah,
And it's
right.
pretty centrally located. So
Yeah.
for me, that was very
Yeah,
convenient.
that's great.
So what would be your best advice for a first-time home buyer?
Just to find an agent that you feel comfortable speaking with and working with, and that's going to walk you through the steps. And that's a good communicator and really listens to what your needs are. It's just important to have a good listener as an agent, because there's so many different options out there that you need to have an agent that has that quality and can listen to what your needs are and make sure that your understanding and their understanding is the same.
Yeah. And I see a lot of realtors who are good salespeople and not good listeners at times.
Right.
But you, I know, we've worked together.
Yeah.
How you listen to them and you really identify their needs, and it's great to see them.
I
They're
don't-
always super happy.
Yeah.
And your Google reviews are
Oh,
unbelievable. I
thank you.
mean,
Yeah.
you know,
Thank you.
just if
Yeah.
you don't, if you're looking for a realtor, Google this guy, Rick Hammel, and he pops up with tremendous reviews,
No, thank you.
which is wonderful.
I take pride on that. And, I consider myself more of a counselor than I do a salesperson. I just want to do what's right for every person, no matter what it is.
And I've
That's
seen it. So
Yeah, so.
good job. What would be the best way for them to get in touch with you?
First of all, you can reach out to me. I have a great website, vegasrealestateexpert.com, or my phone number, of course, 702-465-3525. Anytime like that. I answer my phone all the time. I work for myself. I don't have a team. So I take pride in answering the phone as often as I can.
Yeah, and I can certainly attest, he's got very happy clients. They understand that he is looking out for their best interest. So definitely recommend Rick in any way possible. And if you want to run your numbers, find out what you can afford, and get out there and shop, Rick can certainly show you where to go and the different places that might fit your budget. And we would love to get you into a home. So thank you all for joining us, and we'll see you next time on Las Vegas Pitch Presents. Bye, everybody.